There are seasons in life when nothing makes sense. You don't have a plan. You don't feel like yourself. And the scariest part isn't being lost. It's not knowing if you're even becoming anything at all. But maybe not knowing is part of the way. This in-between, this space without answers, isn't the end of your story. It's where your real path begins. In this video, we're going to explore the quiet wisdom of Lao Tzu, why you don't need to have it all figured out, why stillness isn't failure, and why becoming who you are doesn't always look like progress. If you've been drifting, doubting, or just tired of pretending you're okay, this one's for you. Have you ever wondered why not knowing what you're doing with your life feels so shameful? Why uncertainty, which is the most natural part of being human, gets labeled as weakness, failure, or falling behind? You weren't born with a map. No one was. And yet the world keeps asking you to walk like you know exactly where you're going. You look around and everyone seems so sure, so purposeful, so busy. And you hesitate, you question, you stall. And then you start to ask yourself the one question that hurts more than any other. Am I lost? But Lao Tzu would smile at that question. He once wrote, "A good traveler has no fixed plans and is not intent on arriving." And maybe that's the problem. You've mistaken certainty for progress and not having a plan for being broken. But you're not broken. You're just honest. Because the Tao, the way, doesn't move in straight lines. It doesn't reward control. It doesn't care about your schedule or your timelines. It moves like water, patient, unpredictable, alive. And if you try to hold it too tightly, it slips through your hands. You've been taught that success means having answers. But Lao Tzu suggests something entirely different. That true wisdom begins when you stop pretending to know. That moment, the one where you stop running and whisper, "I have no idea what I'm doing," is not the end. It's the beginning. Most people fear uncertainty because they believe it means they're failing. But what if it actually means you're still open, still becoming, still willing to be shaped by something larger than your own plans? You don't have to know where this is going. You just have to stay awake to the steps. And you know what happens when you do? Life begins to move with you. Not always comfortably, not always clearly, but honestly. You start to notice signs you weren't looking for. You start to feel drawn rather than pushed, and the more you let go of the need to be certain, the more the path begins to reveal itself. But this takes courage, because it means giving up control, and letting go of control feels like dying. So the question becomes, can you surrender? Can you trust something you can't see yet? Lao Tzu would say, that's where the real journey begins, and that's exactly what we'll explore next, the terrifying, beautiful, necessary art of letting go. If this content is resonating with you, consider subscribing. I make videos that help you see the world and yourself more clearly. Thank you. There's a quiet violence in trying to control everything. It doesn't look like violence. It looks like planning. It looks like working late, overthinking, triple-checking, rehearsing answers in your head, bracing for disappointment before it even happens. But underneath all that control is fear. Fear that if you loosen your grip, everything will fall apart, including you. Lao Tzu saw this struggle with rare clarity. He wrote, "When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be." But how do you let go of what you are, when it's all you've ever known? You've built an identity to feel safe, a job title, a personality, a version of yourself that other people understand. And maybe you've outgrown it. Maybe you feel the quiet ache of something shifting inside you. But you're scared to let it die, because you don't know what would take its place. So you hold on. You force things to stay the same. You micromanage life. You chase control like it's salvation. But here's the hard truth. The tighter you grip, the more life resists. Because control is not stability. It's stagnation dressed as safety. You weren't meant to remain fixed. The Tao is not a path you conquer. It's a current you surrender to. And that surrender isn't passive. It's the most active kind of trust. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means loosening your identity enough to make space for who you're becoming. It means making peace with not knowing and walking anyway. But this is terrifying for the part of you that still believes certainty equals safety. The part that was taught to stay in familiar jobs, familiar relationships, familiar pain, because at least you know how to suffer there. So you stay. You shrink. You pretend not to hear the whisper inside that says, "There's something else." But that whisper is the Tao, and it will not shout. It will wait. And when you finally let go, when you stop trying to force the river to flow your way, something strange happens. Life begins to move again, not in the direction you expected, but in the one you actually needed. This is the paradox. You become more yourself not by holding on, but by letting go of who you thought you had to be. And the moment you stop forcing, something deeper emerges. Not louder, not faster, just clearer. But clarity doesn't come from chasing answers. It comes from a different kind of power. Stillness. Stillness that isn't stuck. Stillness that listens. And that's where we go next. Into the silence that holds your next becoming. We live in a world that worships motion. You're praised for being busy, applauded for being productive, and quietly judged if you ever say, "I'm just being." Because stillness in this culture looks like failure, like passivity, like you're falling behind while everyone else is getting ahead. But Lao Tzu saw something different. He wrote, "Muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone, not stirred, not fixed, not frantically purified, just left alone." Because there are moments in life when the wisest thing you can do is nothing at all, not because you're lazy, but because you're listening. Stillness is not stagnation, it's incubation. It's the space where clarity gathers, not through force, but through patience. Think about it. When you're lost in confusion, what do you usually do? You scramble, you overanalyze, you talk to too many people, you seek answers outside yourself. But sometimes, all that movement just kicks up more mud. And what if the reason you still feel unclear is because you haven't stopped long enough to let the silt settle? Stillness is not absence, it's presence without panic. It's the quiet decision to stop running, not because the path is visible, but because your nervous system is tired of pretending it sees what it doesn't. But this is where the inner war begins, because everything around you is screaming, "Do more, get ahead, figure it out." And if you don't, you start to believe you're failing. You start to confuse motion with meaning. But the Tao doesn't move on demand. It moves like breath, slow, cyclical, honest. And sometimes its most transformative seasons are invisible. When nothing seems to be happening, everything might be. Just like water clears when left undisturbed, your direction starts to emerge when you stop chasing it. Stillness is not you giving up. It's you aligning. It's you saying, "I don't need to force clarity. I'll make space for it." This is the way, not to conquer the unknown, but to make peace with it. To stop filling every silence. To stop fixing what's not ready to be solved. To stop performing certainty you don't feel yet. Because when you finally allow yourself to be still, you begin to hear a different kind of voice. Not the anxious one, the true one. The quiet pulse beneath all the noise. The part of you that knows how to wait, how to listen, how to become. But what if you don't feel any different yet? What if you've been still, and it still feels like nothing is changing? That brings us to something even more subtle. something we often miss in our hunger for visible progress, the quiet miracle of becoming, even when you can't see it. It's hard to trust what you can't see. You've been still, you've let go, you've waited, and yet there are days when it still feels like nothing is happening, like you're standing in place while the world rushes past you, like you've fallen behind some invisible race you never agreed to run. But Lao Tzu reminds us, nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. And nature is never late. It never forces the seed to bloom before the roots are ready. It never rushes the tree to grow taller than the soil can support. It just moves slowly, silently, in cycles. You too are part of nature. And that means your becoming may be quieter than you expected, because growth doesn't always look like change. Sometimes it looks like waiting, like uncertainty, like shedding old identities with no new ones to hold on to yet. Sometimes it looks like silence, and in that silence, the roots deepen. In the West, we crave proof, data, results, a clear before and after. But real transformation isn't loud. It doesn't always announce itself. It unfolds in tiny shifts, the moment you respond differently to an old trigger, the breath you take before reacting, the decision to choose rest over self-punishment, the quiet courage to stay when you used to run or to walk away when you used to stay. You don't always see it happening, but that doesn't mean it's not real. You are not stuck. You are gestating. You are not lost. You are molting. You are not late. You are arriving in your own time. This in-between, this place with no name, no definition, no certainty, is sacred. It's where the old you dissolves and the new you begins to whisper. And even if you don't feel different yet, even if the external signs haven't shown up, there is something growing in you, quietly, faithfully, without needing applause. You don't need to prove your progress. You just need to keep listening. Because the Tao is not a path you master, it's a rhythm you surrender to, a presence you allow to move through you, in its time, not yours. So if you've been wondering whether you're behind, whether you're failing, whether you've missed your moment, hear this now. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're becoming. And sometimes the most important transformations are the ones no one else can see, the ones that happen in the dark, in the waiting, in the silence. So be patient with yourself. You are not lost. You are learning how to feel your way forward. And that is enough.